only 2.5 minutes. You're going to hear a lot of things the defendant says. You're going to hear the defendant talk about prior incidents with Ajike Owens. You're going to hear the defendant claim that an incident that happened approximately 16 months before this shooting, that Ajike attacked her with no trespasses. But you're also going to hear from Morgan Robinson, another child who was there that day, and what she saw. You're also going to hear from Deputy Jonathan Coleman, who responded to that call, and that no arrest was made. You're going to hear evidence about an incident where the defendant called 911 about 6 months before the shooting, complaining about the kids. Deputy Kinsey arrived. You're going to hear from Deputy Kinsey. And that the defendant first complains about the kids trespassing and then makes a statement that Mom came over here and was banging on the door, said, "Come to my kids again, I'm going to drag you out, beat you." You're going to hear that from that came out. But you're also going to hear from Deputy Kinsey how she came to the incident. She talked to the defendant. She even talked to Ajike Owens that night, and no arrest was made. You're also going to hear, like I said, a very long interview with the defendant and Detective Stith. And listen closely, because nowhere in that interview does the defendant talk about this threat of being dragged out and beaten that she says happened 6 months ago. He doesn't talk about it. The defendant is going to talk about the 911 call she made right after shooting Ajike Owens, and you're going to hear that 911 call. In that 911 call, you're going to hear the defendant crying. You're going to hear the defendant say that she thought Ajike was going to break down the door. But you're also going to hear the defendant, in the middle of this, complain about trespassing, about leaving garbage around the house, kids. And she's going to talk about how Ajike had a broken down Honda that was garbage. In the middle of the 911 call, she just says that. You're going to hear the crime, but you're also going to see Deputy Barbosa's body cam, and you're going to hear Deputy Barbosa's testimony on the witness stand, and see one of the initial responding officers to the scene. How he goes right up to the door. Susan Lorincz comes out of the door. She's detained, and she's not crying. And she just wants to make sure that the door is closed so her cats don't get out. You're going to hear the defendant say that she's shot by the kitchen table. But you're also going to see pictures from the sheriff's office, lasers, trajectory rods, to help you determine where the defendant actually was when she was shot. You're going to hear the defendant talk about how her door wasn't secure. But you're going to hear from the defendant's landlord, Charles Gabbard, talk about the repairs that he had made to the door prior to this incident and how the door was secure at the time of this. You're going to hear the defendant say that she feared for her life. Now she thought she shot because she thought it was either going to be her or it was going to be Ajike. But yet you're also going to hear the defendant say that she never even intended to hit Ajike when she shot. You're going to hear the defendant say that Ajike was at the door. The defendant believed that Ajike was going to break down that door and kill her. But you're also going to hear the defendant say that Ajike was at the door that evening saying, "I want to speak to you because I don't like the way you're talking to my sons." At the end of this case, you're going to hear that the defendant, Susan Lorincz, knowing the police were coming, was in her apartment, the door locked, and shot through that locked front door, and killed Ajike Owens, who was unarmed. We're going to present the evidence to you in this case. And after the evidence is presented, we are going to come back to you and ask that you find the defendant guilty of manslaughter by use of fire. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Carranza, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, sir. May it please court.
Let me know when you need the overhead.
We're ready, Your Honor.
I've got it on the defense laptop.
Good morning. Allow your minds to wander back in time to June 2nd of 2023 in the Quill Run area of Ocala, 1662 Southwest 107th Lane, apartment number 3. The apartment where Susan Lorincz lived. She had just gone through hell. Ajike Owens, her neighbor, had come to her door and pounded that door violently for minutes. And Susan shot through that door. And the evidence will show is that she shot through that door for self-defense. Because she was terrified that A.J. Owens was going to break down that door and pulverize her. The evidence will show that Susan, at the time, was almost 59 years old, living alone in this tiny little apartment, 800 square feet. There was only one door that she could leave from. And in front of that door was A.J. Owens. An individual that was tall, that was 24 years per June, and that outweighed her by 80 pounds. You will hear that Susan Lorincz was 59 years old, but had a multitude of medical infirmities. So physically, she was a lot older than 59 years old. And it was at this point, after she went through this hell, she called 911.
What was the address of the emergency? 1662 Southwest 157th Lane. Oh my God, this lady just tried to break down my door. I shot through the door. Oh my God.
Okay, repeat that address for me to make sure I have it correct.
1662 Southwest 157th Lane.
Okay, what is your name?
Susan Lorincz. They were trying to come in my house.
Okay, take a deep breath for me. Calm down.
Oh my God.
You said someone tried to break down your door, is that correct?
Yes, yes, the woman was screaming and yelling and she was trying to break down my door and she was...
Okay, it was a female?
Yes. I didn't know what to do. I grabbed my gun and I shot at the door. And I thought she was going to get me. Oh my God.
Okay, you said you shot at the door, is that correct?
Yes, I shot at the door because she wouldn't stop. I told her to get away and she wouldn't. She just begged and begged.
Okay, where's your gun now?
It's in my bedroom. I didn't know what to do. I was panicking. This is the woman who attacked me.
Okay, do you still see the subject?
I don't know where she is. I'm still in my house. I didn't open my door to her.
Is it just only you in the home?
Yes, it's just me.
Okay, I just need you to lock all your doors and windows, okay?
I have.
Okay, I'm going to stay on the line until the deputies get there.
Okay. They were going to come and kill me.
And did you know her?
Yes, she's come after me several times because of her children. Her children keep trespassing over here. They're bothering me and bothering me. They won't fucking stop.
Is she a neighbor?
Yes.
Do you know where she lives?
She lives at 1663 Southwest 107th Lane.
1663 Southwest 107th Lane, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know her name?
Ajike Owens.
I'm sorry, what was the first name?
Ajike, A-J-I-K-E.
Okay. Just let me know when you see the deputies, and like you said your gun is put up in the bedroom.
Yes,
is that
yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
And what unit number is for the subject?
I don't know. I don't know if she's one or two.
Okay.
She has an old broken down Honda or something, the white car in front of her house. It's all garbage.
You said a white Honda?
Yes. And then she has a new Acura.
Okay. You're doing good. Just take a deep breath for me. You do have deputies on the way, okay?
Okay.
And do you see the male subject, or you just see the female?
See, her boys were here earlier. They keep leaving the garbage all around the house.
Okay.
And then I told them to take the crap away, get the fuck out of here.
Do you know where the boyfriend is now?
I'm sorry?
Do you know where the boyfriend is now?
No.
Okay.
I'm not screaming outside now.
This entire trial will revolve around perceptions and the state of mind of Susan Lorincz when she shot through that door. This 911 call that I just played for you all will be presented into evidence. And in this 911 call, you hear the quivering in her voice. You hear the shaking in her voice. And you hear at the beginning the absolute terror that she had. This 911 call, the evidence will show, occurred seconds after she shot through that door. And what the evidence will show, that at the time that she shot through that door, in her core, in her soul, in her heart, in everything that she was, she felt that she was in mortal danger. And that she had to shoot. Because A.J. Owens, her neighbor, that was 24 years her junior, outweighed her by 80 pounds, was going to break in and hold on. Now, what the evidence will also show is that Susan Louise Lorincz was born in Passaic, New Jersey on July 23rd, 1964. She grew up in New Jersey. And she was in New Jersey until she was approximately 30 years old. And approximately 1995 or so, she moved to Springville, Florida, in Hernando County. She moved there because her parents lived there, and she wanted to spend time with her parents. So she moved over there. You will hear that in the 30 years that she was in New Jersey, she was a productive member of society. She was an EMT, where she was on an ambulance. She was a waitress. She was gainfully employed. She was a home health care provider. She was an assistant bookkeeper. When she moved down to Hernando County back in 1995, she continued to be a productive member of society, where she was a chef. In about 2005 or so, she moved to Ocala. You'll hear that the reason why she moved to Ocala, Florida, was because she loved horses. She absolutely bred them. And she moved here because Ocala is a perfect place to be if you love horses. And that's why she moved here. You'll hear that at that point her mother had passed away, so there was no reason for her to be in Hernando County. And when she moved to Ocala, she continued to be a productive member of society. And she was a chef until COVID. You will hear through the evidence that in January of 2020, she moved to 1662 Southwest 107 Lane, apartment 3, where this incident occurred. You will come to find out post-COVID, she was no longer a chef because that business had fried out, as we all remember. So she went to school and she became an insurance agent. And she worked for insurances, selling insurance. She was a licensed Florida insurance agent. She worked from home, and she worked from home full time. And that's what she did. That's how she maintained herself. That's how she supported herself. You'll hear that in June of 2023, she was almost 59 years old, 58, almost 59 years old, but her body was much older than a 59-year-old. She suffered from many medical infirmities. You will hear that she had issues with her knee that caused countless surgeries that involved damaged tendons and ligaments in her right knee and a partial knee replacement in the left knee. Her right knee literally goes backwards because of all the damage to it. She had a car accident in 2019 that required invasive spine surgery, and she has diminished feeling in her legs and feet as a result of that spinal cord injury. You will hear that in 2021 she had a cervical fusion because of that car accident in 2019. She also had an aneurysm on her kidney. She had a torn muscle in her left shoulder and torn rotator cuff in 5 places. You will hear that she also had a herniated thoracic disc and carpal tunnel in both hands, and had surgery on her left hand because of it in 2022. You'll also hear that she is a survivor of ovarian cancer, and she's in remission. Needless to say, with all this physical ailments, though 59 years old, almost 59 years old in June of 2023, inherently, she was significantly older physically. You will come to find out that Susan lived alone in this apartment, like I mentioned, a tiny little 800 square foot apartment, only one way to, which is that entrance, front door. You will come to find out that because she was alone, because she was older, because she had all these medical infirmities, she had bought a gun for protection, which many people her age and her situation do. Now, you will come to find out as well that in June of 2023, June 2nd, 2023, wasn't the first time that she had issues with Ajike Owens. In February 25th of 2022, you'll hear testimony and evidence that she had a run-in with Ajike. And in fact, that was the first time that she met her. Shortly after, Susan had a fusion in her neck. You will hear that there were no trespassing signs all over her neighbor, all over her yard. And you will come to find out that Ajike Owens would walk her dog and defecate on her property. And that made Susan upset. So February 25th of 2022, she spoke to Ms. Owens and said, please stop having your dog defecate on my property. You'll hear that Ajike told her, you're a renter. It's not private property. You don't own it. I'm going to do whatever I want. And if this is where the dog wants to defecate, so be it. Susan told her, there's no trespassing sign. Leave. And you will hear evidence that Ajike, this is the first time she met her, took that no trespassing sign, threw it at Susan, and it hit Susan's leg. This is where the fear started, in Susan's heart, in Susan's home, towards H.A. Owens. You will hear that in December of 2022, it was a chilly day. And there was an issue with one of AJ's kids trespassing on Susan's property. And AJ came to Susan's house, same apartment, 1622, apartment number 3, and started banging on her door and saying things. Saying, come out, and if you don't come out, I'm going to beat you till you're bloody. And you're going to hear evidence that pounding on that door, December 2022, 6 months before this incident, damage was caused to Susan's door and door frame. And you will hear evidence that that damage was there on the night in question, on June 2nd, 2023. You will hear evidence that Charles Gabard, who is the landlord of Susan and the owner of that property, attempted to fix that door frame, but didn't fix it completely. Because you'll see pictures that the damage was still there on that fateful night. And you will hear that Susan always knew after that incident, after December 2022, that there was damage. And she took precautions. And the precautions that she took is she bought a fire. The other precaution that she took is at night she would put a chair under the doorknob in order to have more support. She got a chain for more support in that apartment as well. She did everything a reasonable person would do in order to be safe in her home. June 2nd, 2023 came along. Susan was starting a new job, and she was getting everything ready. Ready for the new job, and the day went into night, and it started getting dark. Susan thought it was raining, so she took her umbrella, it was dark, and she went outside. When she went outside, she noticed that there were kids milling all around her, and there were skates on her property. You will hear evidence that Susan has all these medical emergencies, and she falls on them. So she was scared that she would fall and hurt her knees even further because of the skates area. So she asked the kids to pick up the skates. And you will hear that the kids told her, you get them. So Susan did get them and threw them in the yard. And then they threatened her. She got scared. She ran into her house. But she was in a rush, so she locked the door. But she forgot to put that chair for extra support under the door. She calls 911. You'll hear that 911 call, and you'll hear her fears. As she's in that 911 call, as she's speaking to 911, she goes to the bathroom. When she goes to the bathroom, she hears pounding on the sliding glass door. The 911 is over, and in her mind, she's thinking, wow, that was really quick. That must be Marion County, because she heard loud pounding. She thought it was law enforcement. So she goes out. And like I said, you'll see pictures. This is a tiny little apartment. She'll go to that area. She went to the sliding glass door, and she hears the pounding, and she realizes it's not law enforcement. It's A.J. Owens. And A.J. Owens is mad. She's mad as hell. You'll hear testimony from children that were there, that saw A.J. Owens walk from her apartment to Susan's house. And you will hear that A.J. Owens was walking with purpose. And she was mad as hell. And walking towards that apartment. You will hear that she walked to the sliding glass door, and then the door, the front door. Susan is in her apartment. Nowhere to She is trapped. She has nowhere to go. And AJ's banging on that sliding glass door, saying, "You can't talk to my children that way. I'm going to fucking kill you. Get out here." Susan's terrified. Absolutely terrified. So she goes to her bedroom and gets her firearm. And when she goes to her bedroom and gets her firearm, she comes out to the living room area. And you'll see pictures of it. And she places herself several feet away from the door, next to a dining room table and next to some chairs, where she eats every meal when she's at home. And AJ's pounding on that door. "I'm going to fucking kill you. Get out here." You'll hear from witnesses. You'll hear from her neighbor, Yvonne Costa, who's an older lady, like Susan, and who lives alone. You'll hear from Yvonne Costa that she was, on that fateful night, she was sitting in a chair, very close to her door. And Yvonne and Susan share a wall. You hear that she was watching TV, and all of a sudden she hears pounding on that door, on that wall that they share. Pounding. And she's petrified. You hear that she's scared. She has no idea what's going on. It scares her. It's so loud, you hear that her cats go into her room and under her bed. You will hear that she, at first, was startled, scared to death, and she thought it was Susan banging on the wall. And then it stops. And then she hears more pounding, more banging on the wall. Over and over again. And she's petrified. This time, it's even harder. You will hear that she was scared to death as well, Miss Costa. It was so bad that the wall that they shared was shaking. And you will hear evidence that it wasn't Susan pounding on the wall. In fact, it was Ajike Owens. And Yvonne will testify that she heard screaming, loud, top of your lungs screaming as well. She describes it as when the Marion County Sheriff's Office shows up to the door saying, "Law enforcement here, police here," because the screams were deep and loud. And that's what Yvonne Costa will testify to. Another neighbor called Rosalie Smith will testify as well. And you will hear that Rosalie didn't see anything. But she heard a whole bunch. Rosalie lives about a football field away. And though she didn't see anything, she heard. Though a football field away, she is hearing the pounding on the door. She's going to testify that it sounds like someone's trying to break through a door. And she's hearing screaming a football field away, that loud, terrifying scream. Well, Yvonne Costa said that this incident lasted about a couple minutes. Rosalie Smith is going to testify that it felt like forever. And the evidence will show that Rosalie statement that it felt like forever is how it felt to Susan. Susan is sitting there. She has her firearm. She's several feet away from the door. As AJ is pounding on that door, pounding over and over again for minutes, you'll hear testimony that there is a cement wall right next to the door. And it is moving. It is shaking. So much so that there is a mirror on that wall next to the door. And it's shaking as well. And you'll hear evidence. Susan's heart is pounding. Pounding. The kind of pounding that you feel that's so powerful, that's so treacherous, that you feel the heartbeat in your throat. And you'll hear that the banging on that door is so hard that it sounds like a horse But you'll also hear from some children. And you will hear that AJ was, through the children, you'll hear that AJ was pounding on that door. And she was cursing. She was saying fuck. She was saying bitch. She was saying that bitch. She was mad, and she was mad as hell. And Susan knew it. So we are back to Susan's apartment. Everything is going on. Minutes of this. And Susan's listening to this. Listening to the threats. Feeling the fear. Deep into her soul. Knowing that if AJ goes through that door, she's a gone. And what you will hear is that as AJ is pounding, Susan hears a break. And in Susan's mind, in Susan's heart, in Susan's soul, in Susan's core, she feels like AJ is going to come in, pulverize her. So she shoots the fire. And you'll hear evidence that the magazine of that gun can carry 6 bullets. But Susan only fired once. She didn't fire twice. She didn't fire 3 times, not 4 times, not 5, not 6 times. Once. In order to save her life. Now, you will hear evidence that Susan thought that, as Rosalie said, this was going to go on forever. But it was actually only 2 minutes. And you'll hear testimony of why individuals that suffer through a stressful situation, why they feel that things went on longer than they actually do. We will present several witnesses. We will present witnesses of that evening, of that night, so you all can have a clear understanding of what occurred then. We will also present professionals that will recreate the scene. And you'll see a video of the recreation of the scene for your consideration. We will also present the testimony of a gentleman by Dr. Roy Bedard, who has a degree in educational psychology, and he specializes in use of force and decision making. And he will testify how individuals make decisions under stressful situations. Such as the situation that Susan was in on June 2nd of 2023. At the end of this trial, we will ask you to find Susan Lorincz not guilty of manslaughter. The death of A.J. Owens is a tragedy. There is no doubt about that. But what the evidence will show, and will be presented in this trial, is that in her mind, in her soul, in her core, Susan Lorincz felt she had no choice at all, but to fire that door. It was either Susan or AJ. Susan chose to defend herself. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration.
Judge, may we approach briefly?
No, ma'am. What we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is take a short break, and then we'll get ready for our first witness, okay? So you go back to the jury room, leave your notebooks here, okay? Leave your notebooks here. Yeah. All right, I'll hear what you have to say in a second. Who's the first witness?
Franklin Cologne.
Okay, and then you have some children witnesses?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor. They're the third. Yes, the third witness. And then the 6th witness.
Hey, Tracy, that door is sticking out. Tracy, the door is sticking out. All right, so I think the state's requesting that those witnesses not be photographed by the media. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have any objection to that?
No, sir.
Okay. What I'm instructed is that the media not photograph the children who testify. Everyone understand? Okay. 2. Other thing, no pounding on our podium. If you want to pound on something, you can pound on your own desk, but the podium is not just a podium, it's all of our electronic recording. If you knock that out, that will cause us a problem.
Yes, sir.
Whoever pounds on it and knocks it out is going to pay for it. It's about $30,000. So please do not hit our equipment. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to invoke the rule of sequestration.
Okay. Have you already instructed your witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. I've been
All
told that our staff previously instructed them.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you. You guys free to pound whatever you want, but not the podium.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll be right back. Then we'll take a break. Actually, like doing that. I changed hands and
Yes, sir. I'm from Channel 2 News. That's not clarification on your ruling on the children. Can we hear their testimony? Yes, sir. As long as we don't show their...
Yeah, there's no pictures or video of their face.
So like we can like shoot from like the chin down or something like that?
I would prefer
Just not shooting them at all? Just a generic shot of the courtroom.
right.
And but we get hear what they have to say.
The audio, yes, but not their pictures.
That's what I need to know. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it.
Sir, I'm really ill with these 13. We get so close up, I just want to be 100%.
Yes, ma'am. We just don't want their pictures being shown. No problem.
I said right here. If you want to
Before you come out, spit out what you know. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have, actually, let me see if she No, she can,
What's the matter? I don't know.
Your water? You banged the coating so hard it fell off.
Mike does. His water.
as I'm chugging my water.
Yeah, that's his, isn't it?
I know.
This one's mine.
This is for you.
When you say the flat, it's correct.
Jimmy Owens, yeah.
YouTube. Checking your stock portfolio.
Yes. Three biggest fears.
Yeah.
Everyone ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let's bring the jurors back, please. Wait, is the first witness is not a minor, is she?
Correct.
Okay, no problem. Stay ready for the first witness.
Before we do that, Your Honor, by stipulation between the parties, the state would move State Exhibit A into evidence as State's Exhibit 1. It's a photo book containing relevant photographs as well as a map.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right. State's Exhibit A, by stipulation, will be in evidence of State's number 1.
State would also move into evidence State's Exhibit K, the stipulation as State's Exhibit 2, and ask the court to read that stipulation.
K, you said?
K.
K.
Yes, sir.
Any objection?
No, sir.
State's Exhibit K will be in evidence of State's Exhibit number 2. You want me to read the instruction on stipulations?
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could listen carefully to me. A stipulation. When parties agree that certain facts are true, that is called a stipulation of fact. You must accept stipulated facts as having been proven. However, the significance of these facts, as with all facts, is for you to decide. In this case, the stipulated facts that you must accept as true are: 1. Ajike Owens is the decedent in this case and was pronounced deceased on June 2nd, 2023. 2. An autopsy was performed on the same Ajike Owens on June 3rd, 2023 at the medical examiner's office by Dr. Shondell Norfoot. That is State's Exhibit number 2. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. State would call Franklin Cologne. Getting access to the monitor.
1 second.
Yes, sir.
Stipulation instruction. Are you ready for it to be on the screen?
hand for me? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Please introduce yourself to the jury. Good morning, sir.
Morning. My name is Franklin Bias.
Franklin Bias?
Bias Cologne, yes, sir.
Okay, I apologize.
So,
What do you do for a living?
well, right now I'm just working in construction. Just do small houses, sir, here and there.
Were you in the military?
Yes, sir.
For how long?
About 13, 14 years in service, sir.
In what branch?
Army.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any prior law enforcement experience?
Yes, sir, I do.
What would that be?
I used to be a federal agent, border patrol agent,
For how long?
5 years.
Where do you live?
It's, sorry, I'm bad with addresses. Since I quit the law enforcement, it's like, 1686, 107. It's Quail Run, the property. That's what's called, if I'm not mistaken. 107th Lane, yes, sir.
Let me direct your attention back to June 2nd of 2023. Did you live at the same place back then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have a son?
I do.
What's his name?
Uriel Bias,
And how old is he?
about 13 years now.
Do you know a woman by the name of Susan Lorincz?
I've heard it, yes, sir.
Do you see her here in the courtroom today?
Oh, yes, sir.
Can you please point her out and tell me what she's wearing?
She's wearing a black suit, if I'm not mistaken, and purple on top.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant?
It will so reflect.
What was your relationship with the defendant?
Can you define relationship? I'm sorry, I'm just...
Sure. Were you friends? Were you acquaintances? Did she live near you?
Yes, sir. She was my neighbor across an open field, pretty much.
Did you ever have any kind of real meaningful interaction with her, like social acts with her?
No socializing, no, sir.
Did you know Ajike Owens, AJ, the victim in this case?
I did interact with her a few times, yes, sir.
I'm showing you photograph 1 of States 1. Do you recognize that photo?
Yes, sir.
And who is that?
That is AJ, yes, sir.
Did you have any real meaningful interaction with her? Meaning, were you a close friend of hers, acquaintance, or did she just also live in the area?
She just lived across from the street where I was at, staying, yes, sir, but no close relationship, nothing like that.
Did you know her 2 oldest children, specifically Isaac and Israel?
Yes, sir, I did.
How did you know them? What was your relationship with them?
I used to play with them on the open field around the neighborhood.
About how old was Isaac, or is Isaac?
I mean, just by looking at them, like, I don't know exactly her age, but I mean, we're looking at Israel and Isaac, maybe around the same age as my son.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Was one older than the other?
Yes, sir.
Or Isaac?
Yes, sir.
Do you know who was older?
Isaac was older.
Either by substantially older or just a couple years?
Maybe a 4 or 5 years difference, maybe.
Okay. Where was your residence? Where did you live in relation to where the defendant lived?
So my unit, it's there's 4 apartments per unit. So it was my unit. So I'm in apartment 2, unit 2. There's an apartment. So if I'm in my house, if you're looking at it, on the left side, there's another unit, and then you have the open field, and then you have Miss Susan.
Let me make this a little easier.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Let me show you photographs.
It's kind of hard to explain, I'm sorry.
Does this aerial Google Map image or Google Earth image accurately reflect the area you lived in?
Yes, sir. So where the, sorry, it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, not to tell, but to explain it still. Where the white vehicle, there's a white, that's where the defendant used to live. Yes, sir, right there.
And you
There's
said Miss Owens lived across the street. Does that accurately reflect the
Yes, sir.
she lived in?
Yes, sir.
And you mentioned a white vehicle.
That's where I'm at, right? Yes, sir, that's my apartment.
This right here in this area?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned an open field that you and the children, you would like monitor the children. when they
Yes, sir.
played.
In between myself and defendant's resident.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
this area right here where the
Yes, sir.
between where you lived and where the defendant lived?
Correct.
Okay. Showing you photograph 3 of States 1. What does this generally show?
That's our neighbor.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Would your house be from the perspective of who's taking the picture this side? What does this show?
That's where she lives or used to live. Yes, sir. The Miss Susan
Okay, Miss Susan.
on the right side.
Where would your residence be facing, looking at this picture?
So I would be. So the open field is going to be right to the right, next to that unit, and then I'll be on the other side of the open field.
I'm showing you photograph 5 of States 1. Moving a little bit, panning to the right. What does this show?
That's the open field. You can see my unit and her unit as well.
Is your unit over on this side?
Yes, sir. There's so unit 1. That's the first one you see there, right at the corner, and it'll be unit 2 right next to it.
Does this also show that open field that you had talked about?
Yes, sir.
Would the neighborhood children, along with Miss Owens' children, Isaac, Israel, and Hadar, Africa, play in that open field?
Yes, sir.
What kind of things would they do in that field?
We used to play all kinds.
Objection, based on our motion in limine.
Approach. All right, overrule the objection.
What kind of things would the kids do in that open field?
All kinds of outdoor games, volleyball. There's another game I used to call them out by numbers. That's jump ropes. I mean, all kinds of outdoor games. Yes, sir.
Were there times that you would be out there with the kids when they played?
Most of the time, yes, sir.
Was there also a basketball hoop on the other side of the street in this area?
Yes, sir. So the basketball hoop would be right behind. If you're looking at that picture, it's going to be on the left side of that picture,
Okay, so
across the road.
I'm showing you photograph 3 of States 1 on the opposite side of the road, kind of where that white van is.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Do you remember a no trespassing sign near where the defendant lived?
Yes, sir. Not just one, a few of them.
When the children would play in this open field, would they sometimes get loud?
Yes, sir. I think not sometimes. I think every time we used to play, we were loud. I was loud as well with them. I was a kid.
And would you agree with me that there were times that the defendant would come out and kind of voice her displeasure about the children being there and being loud?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, may we approach on all these issues?
go forward after that question.
Would there be times that the defendant would express her displeasure with the children being there and being loud?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want to take you to June 2nd, the day of the shooting. Were you playing with the kids in that open field that day?
I was. Yes, sir.
And do you remember about how many kids were there playing? 1 or 2 or more than that?
Oh, no, it was, yeah, at least 8 or 10, 12, 15 kids sometimes.
Were the kids being loud?
Yes, sir.
Did you see the children that day ever playing on the defendant's property or going onto her property?
No, sir.
While the children were playing in that open field, did there come a time that the defendant came out and began to record you and the children?
Yes, sir.
Were Israel and Isaac playing in that field with you guys?
Yes, sir.
Did Israel have a tablet with him?
He did.
Okay.
Well, either a tablet or a phone, something. He had something.
What did he do with this tablet?
Well, I was playing with the kids, and whenever he approached me, because I was in the middle trying to guide, I had him all divided in 2 teams. So he said, I was literally paying attention to the both team, and then Israel, he asked me if I can watch his.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
So we're ruled.
So Israel asked me if I can watch his phone or tablet. And I'm like, I cannot because I'm paying attention to everyone else. I'm calling down numbers. And he's like, I'm just going to place it here. I'm going to leave it here. I'm like, well, you got to be responsible for your own things. I was right at the middle field, in the middle of the field. And then he just left it there. I just kept playing with the kids.
Do you remember where he left the tablet?
And right in the middle of the open field, yes, sir, where I was standing, facing towards my unit. If you're looking at the picture, I was facing towards my unit.
Did there come a time that you left the open field and went back to your house?
I did. Once we got done playing and everything, and I got tired because I behaved like a kid, but I don't have the energies. I went back to my apartment. Yes, sir.
Do you remember, was it getting dark? Was it still light out when you did that?
It was about to get dark. Yes, sir.
When you got back to your apartment, what did you do?
I started playing on my phone, being on Facebook, what everyone does today's day, wasting life. But
For about how long did you do that until something else irrelevant to this case happened?
maybe approximately 30 minutes.
And after that, about 30-minute period of time, what happened?
I heard like a firecracker, which in my military experience, I thought it was a firecracker because of it wasn't that loud. It sounded weird, but then I'm like, nah, it can be a shot. It's gonna be a firecracker.
Okay. So what did you do after you heard that sound?
I didn't do anything. I just went back to my phone, and then I heard banging on my door.
And when you heard the banging on your door, what'd you do?
I opened it up. I see my son panicking, screaming, and literally just panicking. He couldn't talk.
Is that your son Uriel?
Yes, sir.
When he was in that condition, did he say anything to you?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
So ruled.
He said she got shot. She shot her.
Okay. At that time, did you understand what was happening?
Negative, no, sir.
What'd you do?
I try to calm down to try to gather more information. If someone got shot, I mean, military experience, I'm like, well, I need to hurry up to see if I can help someone.
I'm showing you photographs 6 of States 1. What did you do when you went outside?
I went outside. I went towards, it's what we as a law enforcement and everything, we have stimulus. I went where the noise was. So I went towards the noise, right at the corner where near the basketball hoop was at, right at the corner, and I heard everyone screaming and the kids crying, Isaac, and my mom. One of the neighbors came out telling me she got...
Before you go into anything with the neighbors. 100%. That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. At some point, did you go over to and locate Miss Owens?
I did.
Okay.
After the fact, yes, sir.
Where was she located? Can you see where she will be located in this photograph?
It's going to be where the headlights are pointing at. The lights is near the tree, that big tree that's there in the open field.
Okay. Is that the big tree you're talking about?
That's the tree I'm talking about, yes, sir.
Okay. What did you do when you arrived by Miss Owens?
I immediately keeping an eye on Miss Susan apartment just in case. I mean, you never know. I'm just situation awareness.
What did you do to her?
I started scanning for open wounds, and because I heard she got shot, so I was just scanning for open wounds to try to help her out.
When you were next to Miss Owens, did you notice any weapons around her? Any gun, any knife, any kind of bat, anything like that near her?
No, sir.
Do you have first responder training based on your military and law enforcement experience?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At some point, did law enforcement arrive?
Yes, sir.
And did emergency medical services also arrive?
Yes, sir.
Did you direct law enforcement to where Miss Owens was?
Yes, sir.
At that point, did you kind of step back and law enforcement took over what needed to be done?
Correct.
All right. Did all of this happen in Marion County, Florida?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. No other questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Now, on that specific day, the kids had made kind of a mess out there in the open field with their shoes and trash and all their stuff, right?
They had their shoes, yes, sir, on the open field. They had, yes, cups.
Trash.
You could say that, yes, sir.
Okay. And when you heard what you thought was a firecracker, but it was already dark outside, right?
When I stepped outside, it was already kind of dark, yes, sir.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
See excused?
Yes, sir.
Have a nice day, sir. Thank you
Thank you,
very
sir.
much. You're excused. State ready for the next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The state would call Mr. Jimmy Cowan.
Is this witness under 18?
Yeah.
Okay.
Raise your hand for me. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Have a seat, sir.
May it please the court. Can you please state your name for the record, sir?
My name is Jimmy. Legal name James H. Cowan Jr. Go by Jimmy.
Thank you, sir. What is your occupation?
I'm the Marion County property appraiser.
How long have you been the property appraiser for Marion County?
I was elected for the 2021, which was reelected again.
And what was your occupation prior to being elected to the Marion County as the Marion County property appraiser?
I've worked at the Marion County property appraiser's office since 1992 until current.
What is the duties of the property appraiser's office generally when it comes to people's property?
Well, we value all property in Marion County, whether it be residential, commercial, do all exemptions for taxable homestead exemption, agricultural classifications, things of that nature. We list and map all properties in Marion County, and we also have a statutory requirement to do all damage assessment when a storm comes through.
You say you list and map all properties in Marion County. Are you talking about parcels?
Parcels.
If you could please explain to the jury what a parcel is.
It's a tract of land or ownership, basically.
All right. And how do you determine that, your office?
We determine it by deed. When a deed comes through, basically whatever the legal description is that's applied to us that's recorded in the clerk of the court's office, we actually change or put in that person's name. Sometimes there'll be cutouts or combines or whatever the case may be, so it may change what the record was before.
So you create records and maps of parcels based on the information that you've received?
Yes, sir.
Now I'll show you some precinct marks and states exhibit B for identification purposes. Sir, can you please take a look at those? Just let me know when you're done.
I've seen all these before, so if you want to ask questions, that's fine.
Yes, sir. And are those records from your office, sir?
Yes, sir.
And to your knowledge, do those records pertain to the addresses of 1662 Southwest 107th Lane and 1686 Southwest 107th Lane in Ocala?
That is correct.
Your Honor, at this time I would move into evidence State's Exhibit B at State's 3.
No objection.
Objection, states B, moving evidence to states number 3.
Thank you, sir.
Give to the clerk, please.
Now, I want to go over some of those records with you. Mr. Cowan.
Yes, sir. I don't need to see it now.
I'll let you hang on State's Exhibit 3, sir. I'm ready, Your Honor. State's desk.
Are you on the state or the podium?
The State's.
I got it.
So, Mr. Cowan, I'm showing you what is it's like a record photograph included within those records, State's Exhibit 3. Can you please explain this to the jury, what they're looking at?
Okay, these are ortho images or aerials. What ortho means, basically, you're looking at a rooftop view of the property. So basically, this would be a portion of possibly a subdivision, basically. And there are some green lines that some people may or may not be able to see. I can barely see them from here, but I know they're there.
And we're going but those are two abutting properties.
Say it again?
Two abutting properties, the aerial photo.
Two abutting, is that what you're saying?
No, two properties that are next to each other.
Yes, they're contiguous, yes.
So now showing you another photograph here. It looks like a parcel number 3577-001-010, aerial photograph of that. Can you please tell the jury which address that parcel number belongs to?
10. That of 3577-001-010 is 1662 Southwest 107th Lane. It would be all units A, B, C, D, probably.
Thank you. So is that a quadruplex, sir?
It's a quad. Yeah, quadruplex.
And who is the owner of that building there at 1662?
Okay, based on the records, when this was printed on May 20, I don't know that it has changed hands or not, but based on that time period, it was Diana and Charles Gabbard, Gabbard.
All right. And if you could please explain to the jury these red lines we see on this aerial photograph.
The red lines would indicate basically the boundaries of the property based on the deed that we received,
Okay.
or it could actually also be from the plat when it was platted.
Okay. But that would be the boundaries of the parcel based on the information you received.
For assessment purposes, yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We're now showing you an aerial photograph with some more red lines. This is for parcel number 3577-001-008. Sir, can you please tell me what the address is for this residence?
The address, site address is 1686 Southwest 107th Lane.
Okay. And who is the owner of that residence?
Again, at the time of the printing of this property record card, it was AARA Holdings, LLC.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And the red lines that we see here again, is this again the boundaries of that parcel based on the information you received?
That is correct. It'd be based on whatever deed came through
All right.
when it was last sold.
Thank you very much, sir. I have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
Yes, sir. Mr. Smith, can you back it up to the
Yes.
photo of Susan? Right there, thank you.
Which one? There you go.
Morning.
So this slide that we're looking at here, so this is actually this red line. This is the property line around that property, is that right?
That is correct.
Now, with this quadruplex, there are multiple porches attached to it, right?
Well, from looking at an aerial, you may say porches, it could be a patio. Let me look and see what we have assessed on it, and this is 10. On that particular one, it's showing patio as the last time we were out there.
So there's multiple patios attached to it, right?
Yes.
So anything that is permanently affixed to that property, that would be owned by the individual that's listed on that parcel?
Yes. Anything within the borders of that red that is permanently affixed, asphalt, concrete, patios, the building would be real estate.
So that would include porches or patios affixed to the property, right?
Yes.
That would also include any sidewalks that's within that red line up there?
Yes.
That would also include any grassy areas that's within that red line?
Yes.
Thank you. No other questions.
Anything additional? Need to redirect?
No further questions?
Is he excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. State's ready for its next witness, Your Honor. We would call Mr. Uriel Rodriguez.
Do you want this on or no?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sir, raise your right hand. Face the clerk.
Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
May it please the court.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah? A little nervous?
Yeah.
What is your name?
Uriel.
Okay. What's your last name?
Buys.
Okay. And you also Rodriguez?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you say your full last name?
Uriel Buys Rodriguez.
Thank you. How old are you?
I'm 13.
All right. What grade are you in?
I'm in 7th.
All right. So what's your favorite subjects in school?
Science.
Yeah. Like to do anything when you're not in school?
Excuse me?
Like to do some things when you're not in school?
Yes.
What's that?
Play soccer.
So I want to talk to you about this case, Uriel. And I want to ask you if you know people first. Did you know an Isaac?
Yes.
All right. Did Isaac live in your neighborhood?
Yes.
And did you used to live with your dad?
Yes.
Do you remember the name of the neighborhood that your dad lived in?
No.
Okay. What type of neighborhood was it?
It was a kind neighborhood. It was nice, peaceful.
What I mean by, is there like apartments there and everything?
Yes.
Okay. And did you live with your dad, Franklin Cologne?
Yes.
Now, did he live in that neighborhood with you?
Yes.
Do you remember how old Isaac is?
No, I do not.
Is he your age? Is he older?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you know if he was similar age to you?
No.
It's okay. Did Isaac have a little brother named Israel?
Yes.
Okay, would you call him Izzy?
Yes.
All right, was Izzy younger than you?
Yes.
All right. Do you know how much younger Izzy was than you?
No.
Okay. And do you know, did you know Isaac and Izzy's mom, AJ?
No.
Okay. Did you know the lady who was shot in this case?
Yes.
Okay. And had you ever, and was that lady who was shot, was that Isaac and Izzy's mom?
Yes.
Okay. Had you ever seen Isaac and Izzy's mom before in the neighborhood when you lived there?
Yes.
How often would you see, or would you play with Isaac and Izzy a lot?
Yes.
Now, did you live in that neighborhood that Isaac and Izzy's mom was shot?
Yes.
And now, the lady who shot Isaac and Izzy's mom, Susan, do you know her? Had you ever seen her before?
Yes.
Okay. Did she live in your neighborhood too?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to show you a photograph. States 1-1. You recognize that as Isaac and Izzy's mom?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so I want to talk about the night of the shooting. Do you remember that night?
Yes.
All right. So I want to talk a little bit before the shooting happened, okay? Were you in the neighborhood that evening before the shooting?
Yes.
Or do you remember what you were doing?
Yes.
What were you doing kind of before the shooting?
I was playing around with everybody there.
Okay. Was there a field next to your dad's house?
Yes.
All right. Do you remember playing in that field at all?
Yes.
All right. That evening you were playing in the field?
Yes.
All right. So at some point did you stop playing in the field?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember what you did after you stopped playing in the field?
Yes.
What'd you do?
I went to go play basketball.
Okay. All right. And is that basketball court, is that kind of near in the neighborhood there?
Yes.
All right. Now, at some point, did you ever remember seeing Isaac and Izzy's mom? After you stopped playing in the field, did you ever see Isaac and Izzy's mom walk over to Susan's house? Do you ever remember seeing Isaac and Izzy's mom walking over to the lady who shot her's house?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember where you were when you saw her?
Yes.
All right, where were you?
I was at the basketball hoop.
Okay. All right, and is that kind of in the street there, in between some apartments?
Yes.
All right. And when you saw Isaac and Izzy's mom, can you tell like what she looked like when she was walking over there? Do you remember?
She looked mad.
She looked mad?
Yeah.
Do you remember if Isaac and Izzy's mom said anything while she was walking over to the lady who shot her's house?
Yes.
All right, what do you remember her saying?
I remember her cursing.
Okay. Do you remember anything else specific she said
No.
when she was going over there? Okay. Now, did you kind of, as Isaac and Izzy's mom walked over to the lady who shot her's house, did you go somewhere else?
Yes, I started going to my house, like near my house.
Okay. All right. And did you see Isaac and Izzy's mom go up to the lady who shot her's door?
Yes.
All right. Do you remember where you were when you saw that?
Yes. I was beside my house
Okay.
when it happened.
All right. So I want to show you some photographs. So you just take. Were you in this area of this field of 8, and that we see in States 1-8 when you saw Isaac and Izzy's mom at the door?
Excuse me?
Were you in that general area when you saw Isaac and Izzy's mom at the door?
Yes.
Okay. Now, from where you were in that area, were you in that field area right there?
Yes.
All right. From where you were in the field, were you still able to see the door of the lady who the door of the residence of the lady who shot Isaac and Izzy's mom?
Yes.
Okay. Were you able to see Isaac and Izzy's mom at the door?
Yes.
All right. What do you remember seeing when Isaac and Izzy's mom was at the door?
I remember her banging on the door.
All right. Isaac and Izzy's mom banging on the door?
Yes.
How is she banging? Can you describe that?
She was banging in a mad type of bang. She was like banging like pretty hard.
Okay. Do you remember Isaac and Izzy's mom saying anything while she was
Yes.
banging on the door? What do you remember her saying?
I remember her saying, open up this door.
Okay. Do you remember Isaac and Izzy's mom cussing at all while she was at the door?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember what she was saying?
Yes.
Okay. What was she saying?
She was saying the B word, you know,
The B word?
and the F word.
Okay. Now, where was Isaac and Izzy's mom banging on the door?
Kind of in the middle.
In the middle?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever see Isaac and Izzy's mom reach for the door handle?
No.
Did you ever hear Isaac and Izzy's mom say, "I'm going to kill you"?
No.
So then what do you remember happening after the banging on the door? Well, before I ask that question, did you see Isaac and Izzy's mom bang on anything else while she was
No.
at the door? So she's banging on the door. Does something happen next? What do you remember?
I remember hearing, after she banged on the door, I remember hearing a gunshot.
Mm-hmm. And then what happened after you heard the gunshot?
I saw Isaac's mom run and yelling, "Call 911."
What did you do when that happened?
I went to my dad. I ran to my dad, actually.
Okay. So you ran to your dad? Now, before, I want to go back. You said before, you said you saw Isaac and Izzy's mom walking over to the lady who shot her's house, right?
Yes.
Before you saw Isaac and Izzy's mom walking over to the house, did you see either Isaac or Izzy run over to their house? To Isaac and Izzy's own house? Did you ever see them run back to their own house? Do you remember?
No.
It's okay. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Uriel.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Hi, Uriel.
Hi.
My name is Morris. Remember we met before? I was on the video when we were talking to you. No, that's okay. That's okay. We're going to go nice and slow, okay? All right. You are currently 13 years old, right?
Excuse me 1 second. Do you want this picture up?
No, sir. No. Thank you. Okay. So, back in June of last year, you were 12 years old, right?
Yes.
And you knew Susan, right?
Yes.
Okay. She was an older lady, right?
Yes.
Now, when Miss Owens, AJ, when she was walking over from her house to Miss Susan's house, AJ was really mad, wasn't she?
Yes.
She seemed really angry, right?
Yes.
Now, AJ first banged on on Susan's sliding glass door, right?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Okay. Do you remember, it's been a long time, hasn't it? Over a year?
Yeah.
Do you remember giving a statement, like speaking to the police right after this happened?
Yes.
And do you remember the police asking you about everything that happened?
Yes.
Would reading a little part of that kind of help? Officially, it's called refresh your recollection. Would it help you remember what you said to law enforcement, what happened on that day?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Sure. Excuse me, sir. You're going to read it to yourself, okay?
It's Adam, page 20, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, page 24, lines 13 through 14, and page 25, lines 2 through 5.
Uriel, don't read it out loud. Just read it to yourself,
Is this the
okay?
deposition?
So this is the statement. Coach Ron?
Yes, sir.
So, I'm going to show it to you, but just like the judge said, just the parts that I'm asking you to read, just read over it to yourself. Do not read it out loud, okay? Okay, so we're going to start with page 24, and then read lines 11 through 17, okay? And let me know when you're done. Okay. Have you been able to kind of remember what you told the police back then?
Yes.
And do you remember telling the police back then that Ajike first banged on the sliding glass door?
Yes.
And now, after you read it, do you remember Ajike first banging on the sliding glass door first?
Yes.
Okay. And then after that, you started banging on Miss Susan's regular door, right?
Yes.
And she was banging really hard, wasn't she?
Yeah, mad hard, yes.
I'm sorry?
Hard, yes.
And it was like bang, 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 hard, right?
Yes.
And she was doing it with her fist, right?
Yes.
And AJ was talking really loud as she was banging and banging and banging on that door, correct?
Yes.
Her tone was a loud one and a mad one, right?
Yes.
She was screaming, right?
Yes.
And where she was banging in the middle of the door, kind of like where the door handle is, right?
Objection or misrepresentation of the testimony.
Where was she?
Hold on one second. Overrule the objection. He can answer the question if he knows.
Okay. And she was banging in the middle of the door, kind of like where the door handle is, correct?
No.
She wasn't?
She was banging in, not the middle where the door handle was. Not like beside the door handle, just the middle.
Just the middle? Okay. But in that area, that's when she's banging with her fist, right?
Yes.
And I know you don't want to curse, so I'm going to mention some words, and then you let me know if these are the words that you said. I know you don't want to say it, and I understand. But we have to know exactly the words she was using. She was using the words bitch, right?
Yes.
And fuck, right?
Yes.
And she was saying things like this bitch, right?
Yes.
You had seen arguments between Susan and AJ before this incident, right?
Yes.
When AJ would go down to Susan's house, AJ would tell Susan to stop effing with my kids and to leave or I'm going to fight you, right?
Yes.
And Susan would tell AJ to get off her property, right?
Yes.
On the day of the incident, you saw Izzy pass that no trespassing sign, right? That Miss Susan had?
Yes.
And Miss Susan told all of you to get off her property that day, right?
Yes.
And Isaac and Izzy told her to shut up and things of that nature on that day, right?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Do you remember that day that you spoke to me and spoke to Miss Sizemore? She's sitting right over there.
No.
Remember you coming in to like a building here in Ocala and speaking to us about what you know about the case? Do you remember that? It was a fancy name called a deposition. Do you remember that?
No.
No. Do you remember another time talking about the case with the lawyers that wasn't when you spoke to law enforcement, when you spoke to the police? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember that a court reporter was there, someone that was typing everything up?
Yes.
Okay, you do remember that. Do you remember if that was called a deposition?
No.
No, okay. And do you remember us talking about the things that we're talking about now?
Yes.
And would reading that kind of help you remember some of the stuff that we spoke about?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Smith, this is page 18 of the deposition, lines 3 through 7, okay? Okay, Uriel, same thing. I'm going to show you the deposition, and don't read it out loud, just read it to yourself, okay? And then we'll talk about it, all right? Okay, page 18. And then lines 3 through 7, just let me know, okay? Let me know when you're done reading it. Take your time. Okay, thank you. Does that help you remember what we spoke about?
Not really. No.
Not really? Do you remember that you told us that Isaac and Izzy told Miss Susan to shut up and things of that nature?
No.
No. But you did read that here, right? You did read it in the deposition that I just showed you, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you were several feet away, like 15 or so feet, when this incident occurred, right?
Yes.
You were by the mailboxes, right?
Yes.
And AJ was right up on Susan's door, right?
Yes.
You could hear Miss Susan say, "Get out of my house," right?
No.
No? Israel, who you call Izzy, was near the tree that Susan had in the front of her property while AJ was banging on Susan's door. Is that right?
Yes.
And that would be the tree that's near the parking lot. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Isaac was near the mailboxes, right?
Yes.
Biggie was near the tree as well, right?
Yes.
None of them were at AJ's door, right?
Yes.
Okay. Israel, who you call Izzy, never got near Susan's door, right?
No.
Do you remember us talking about when everything was going on, what you heard Susan say to AJ? Do you remember us talking about that in the deposition that we spoke about before?
Wait, can you repeat it?
Do you remember you and I speaking about this incident and what Miss Susan was telling AJ when AJ was banging on the door? Do you remember that?
No.
Okay. Would showing you the deposition kind of help you remember again what we were talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Smith, specifically page 26 of the deposition, lines 14 through 17. Okay? All right, same thing. I'm going to show it to you, and you just read it to yourself, and then we'll talk about it, okay? All right, page 26, 14 through 17. Let me know when you're done, okay? Are you done? Okay. All right, thanks. Do you remember Miss Susan telling AJ to get out of my house now? Yes, sir? Okay. All right. I appreciate your time. I know this is scary, but I really appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Need to redirect.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay, Uriel, I want to ask you one more question. So So I want to go back to when you see Isaac and Izzy's mom first walking over to the lady who shot her's house, okay? Remember that? When you saw Isaac and Izzy's mom walking over there?
Yes.
When you saw Isaac and Izzy's mom walking over there, did you see anything in Isaac and Izzy's mom's hands?
No.
No further questions.
Is he excused?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. We can show him off the stand. Are you ready for our next witness?
Yes, Judge.
All right.
Jareth Gardner. Jareth Gardner.
How do you spell Jared? Is it Jared?
Jerreth.
Thank you.
Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Have a seat, sir.
May it please the court.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir. Can you please state your name for the record?
Jareth Gardner,
Okay. And how old are you?
22.
All right. May want to move your hair back so we can see you there. We can hear you good. Thank you. All right, so you're 22, sir. What do you do for a living?
Go to work
All right. Where do you work?
at a warehouse,
All right. What warehouse is that?
Amazon.
All right. So, Mr. Gardner, I want to talk to you about a shooting incident that happened in June of last year, 2023. You remember that incident?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you live in the neighborhood where that incident took place?
Yes, sir.
All right. And did you know Isaac and Israel, or Izzy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did Isaac and Izzy live in the neighborhood with you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, who did you live with in that neighborhood back then?
With my mother.
All right. Do you still live in that neighborhood?
No, sir.
All right. Did you also have a little brother who lived with you in that neighborhood?
Yes, sir.
What was his name?
Calix.
All right. Now, I want to talk about Isaac and Izzy. Had you ever seen Isaac and Izzy's mom before in the neighborhood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And would you see Isaac and Izzy a lot in the neighborhood?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how old Isaac was approximately?
I believe he's 12, maybe. I don't know.
All right, around that age. All right. And was Izzy his little brother?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how much younger Izzy was than him?
He might have been like 10.
All right. So, I want to talk about the incident that happened last year on June 2nd, 2023. Were you at the house that day, sir?
Yes, sir.
Now, was there at any time later that evening that you became aware that something was going on?
Yes, sir.
How did you become aware something was happening?
My little brother came and told me.
All right, Calix came and told you something?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And where were you when Caleb came up and talked to you?
In the living room.
All right. Of your house?
Yes, sir.
How was he acting?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't remember? Okay. All right. At some point, did you go outside of the house after Calix had talked to you?
Yes, sir.
All right. And when you went outside the house, where were you?
In the street.
All right. I wonder, Your Honor, if I could please use the state's podium.
Are you ready for it to be on screen?
Yes, Judge. So, Mr. Gardner, I'm showing you states 1-3, states 1-4, states 1-5. Do you recognize kind of that general area of those photographs?
Yes, sir.
All right. In states 3, we see a basketball behind that black car. Is there a basketball hoop kind of somewhere in that area?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is the basketball hoop, have this red mark, is it kind of over here outside of the picture?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So You go outside. Do you ever see Isaac and Israel when you go outside?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you saw Isaac and Israel, how were they acting?
Like somebody had just messed with them.
Okay. And did you ever talk to them at all about what was going on, what was happening?
Yes, sir.
All right. And did you ever see Isaac or Israel where were you talking to Isaac and Israel first?
Under the basketball hoop.
Okay. So you were kind of over in this general area over here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you ever see Isaac or Israel go over to their own house, Isaac and Israel's house?
Yes, sir.
Okay. After you talked to them? And then at some point, did you kind of leave the area of the basketball hoop and make your way over towards, this area of the parking lot street?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, at some point, did you ever hear, and before I ask that question, I just want to make sure, the lady who shot Isaac and Israel's mom, Susan, had you ever seen her before?
Yes, sir.
Do you know where she lives?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sure in States 5, does she live kind of in this apartment right here?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, did you ever hear, as you're kind of moving in this area of the parking lot area, street area, did you ever hear anything going on at Susan's house?
Yes, sir.
All right, if you could please explain to the jury what you heard.
I heard knocking
Okay.
and a few words.
All right. So if you could please explain the knocking that you heard.
It was in 2 syllables. It was three knocks in 2 syllables.
All right. Okay. And did the knocking did it ever get louder as you were listening to it?
On the second knock, she got louder. Like the second syllable, she knocked a little bit louder.
All right. And when you say she, are you talking about Isaac? Well, I guess, were you able to actually see the door?
No, sir.
Okay, so you heard some knocks. All right. And now, could you hear anything at that point when you're also hearing anything besides the knocks? Could you hear anybody saying anything at that point?
I heard her say, "Come outside."
Okay. And when you said her, are you talking about Isaac and Izzy's mom?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you also hear anything else, any cuss words used by Isaac and Izzy's mom?
Yes, sir.
All right. What did you hear?
The B word.
Okay. All right, so you said you heard "come outside," you heard the B word. At any time, did you ever hear Isaac and Izzy's mom say, "I'm going to kill you"?
No, sir.
Now, at some point, did a gunshot happen?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
If you could explain kind of what you saw as that was going on.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, so how did you become aware a gunshot happened?
I heard it.
All right, and where were you? Do you remember?
I believe I was still crossing the street.
Okay. When you say crossing the street, are you kind of in this general area, though, where we're seeing Stage 5?
Yes, sir.
Did you ever see Isaac and Izzy's mom come out from the defendant's patio?
Yes, sir.
All right, do you know what happened to where she went?
She ran from the front door and collapsed by the tree.
All right. I have no further questions for this witness.
Cross-examination.
Yes, sir, may I inquire?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Good morning. Now, you know Miss Owens' children, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That's Israel and Isaac?
Yes, ma'am.
And you considered yourself like a big brother to them?
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to talk to you about the day of this incident. So you were outside by the basketball hoop before the shooting, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And Israel and Isaac were with you?
Yes, ma'am.
And they told you about what had happened with them over at Susan's house, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And one of the kids said, "Go and get AJ," right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, ma'am.
And you saw Miss Owens walk across the street to Susan's house, right?
No, ma'am.
Had Miss Owens already crossed the street by the time you saw her?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Miss Owens seemed frustrated, right?
No, ma'am, I didn't see.
Do you recall giving a deposition in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Would seeing a copy of your deposition refresh your recollection as to whether or not you said Miss Owens was frustrated?
I believe I said, from my perspective, she might have been like just, from my thought, she may be frustrated.